Everyone, I hope you're well. Just thought I'd do a quick video in regards to the training that we offered yesterday. Just because of the amount of questions and things that were asked, which were great. I just thought I'd make a specific training video that's a lot quicker that dive straight into what you need to know in the consistent running of your Canvas course for VET. So first of all, just a bit of an announcement that there's some face-to-face opportunities coming up on the 25th of the 2nd, so this month. Dave Shield is offering a Canvas training day at Nagle College. It goes all day, and if you're interested, his email address is there for you. So jumping on in, I'm going to go through pretty much exactly what we went through yesterday. And I'm going to use the Canvas Learning Center page to show you how to do what you need, what you're probably up to at the moment. So I've had a few questions about accessing marking and feedback. So firstly, I'll just go into this, use this Canvas course as a guide to show you. But as students submit into Canvas, we can view their submissions in the Marks section. So click on Marks. It'll take a little while for the grid to populate as it's going through all of the tasks. And as you can see in my course here, I've got submissions that have been submitted. So in your mark book, now you're probably halfway through, I'd guess, at least through the administration module. Here you can see that a student has submitted something, and so Anne-Marie has been marked as complete. Oliver Carlson, he has a X next to his name, which says, and this is just for training purposes, there's nothing wrong with his submission, but you can see that that's an X. So I could have rechecked that and I can mark it as complete from here. And you can see here that this person, Dave, has a new submission that we can view. So if you have a bunch of these icons here, it means that you still need to mark those. So you can click into the actual task by clicking on this part here, or you can click directly on the icon, choose the door. Then if we go over to this part here and click on Speed Grader, we can see Dave's made up submission. So from here, we can mark it as complete, and Dave will get a notification there to say that that has now been marked, and I can write Dave a message to say great work and submit it. So we do encourage you to go through and just check that your students have created a USI. Obviously, it's a course requirement. I'm just going to jump back to the mark book now, show you a couple of other quick things that you can do. Rather than emailing all your students individually, we can go to the three dots on the side, and we can message the students who haven't submitted yet. And we could just write them a quick message to say, hey, I've just noticed you haven't done this task. It's a requirement of the course. Could you please complete ASAP? So that will go out and send that message. I'm not going to do that specifically here because people who haven't submitted it in this course, who are teachers, will get that notification. So the other part that I might just go through with you is that demonstrate academic integrity was all my own work modules. So they're there for you. What you might want to do is check that with your curriculum coordinator or whoever looks after all my own work at your school, and then check that they've that all the students in your class have done that. So they may not need to complete it in the course, and we can mark them off just simply by, so I know I've already marked them off because I showed it yesterday in the actual seminar that we were showing in terms of Canvas, but we can set a default mark. And so if that's not already marked off, but you've checked it with your coordinator, and then you can just change them all to complete and set for default mark, and that will tick all of those off. And you can do that in any of these. So if you have a look at the complete go to work placement modules, the students are actually submitting something there. So I would recommend that you would check that the certificates are there, and that will show up with an icon like this to mark them off. Okay, so that's a little bit of a revision, but we've had a few questions about it, so I thought we'd just spend the first couple of minutes showing you how to mark, give feedback, and so on your course. So if you did want to go straight back in and see what they were, again, you can click on that top button there. That'll take you to the description of what the students had to complete. Then we can click on Speed Grader in the top right, and that's another way of accessing the students' submissions. So we can see that we could mark it directly from here. All right, so the next thing I'm going to show you how to do is how to build a page in Canvas. So often people want to add their own things, and maybe you've got something in the course that CEDP have provided, and you think, oh, I'd like to use my own resource that I've always used. So what we're going to do is show you how to do that very quickly now. So if we click into modules, we can see our module view here for our course, and I'm going to add a new page to this part here. So to do that, I click on the plus button at the side of the module. I'm going to do a page for the first one. Click page. We're going to create a new page. We could choose a previously created page and recreate that. And then this one I'm going to call, and for anything that you add to your course, we do want you to add a plus to the start of the name for the page or the assignment or whatever it is you're creating. So add a plus symbol. And then, as you can see, I've already done this a couple of times. And I'm going to write adding another page. So we know which one it is. Okay, so I'm going to add that item to our module. So that will default to come into the bottom of that module. I'm going to click on the name of the module to open it. We click edit at the top right. And you can see now that when I open it, it automatically opens, but you may have a spaceship that looks similar to this, or it could open automatically. So if you just get the spaceship and click on the spaceship, there are some tools in this design tools section that make it really quick to create content that's formatted and looks like the rest of our courses. So obviously that's a better way to create so that it all looks consistent for the students. So if we have a look at create edit content, you'll see that there's a copy existing content option. So click on the create edit content, copy existing content. Institution templates, they're templates that have been created that are across the whole CEDP in every course. And in there, you'll see that there are two current templates that we can use. One of them's the overview template that you would see as the chapter overview, and the other one's a lesson content template. So I'm going to click on that. And you can see now that it's added to the course, to the page, a performer that makes it look nice. So we can add some instructions here, we can add our resources here, and so on. So I'm just going to call this topic, I'll just make it WHS, oops, and I'll just put that in the middle. And we could write, your teacher's now going to give you, so we can type all that stuff in. Now for the resources, I'm going to show you how to embed a current document that you already have in your Google Drive. So to do that, you click on the Google Drive icon up the top. And choose your account. And you can see that there's anything that I've opened recently has been put into this document. So what I'm going to embed, we could embed a PowerPoint, we could embed there's lots of different things. Obviously, anything that's in Google Drive we can embed. So I'm just going to, maybe I'll just grab it's the same process for any of those items too. You just go to Google Drive and find it. I might embed the risk assessment template. And that's what we're going to create a copy of later for the students. Okay, so that'll attach it. You wait a couple of seconds and that automatically pops up in the document so students could see it. Okay, so that's how we embed a Google Doc. But yeah, as I said, it's the same process for embedding a slideshow or anything that we have in our Google Drive. So now I'm going to save that. And we can save and publish it, which means that it would go available to the students and the students would be able to see it and access it straight away, or you could leave it unpublished until you were ready to have the students access it. So now you can see that that's been imported and embedded into our page. Now I would recommend having a go at doing that in your actual course. So find a course, find a resource, and then add something to it. This green tick up the top, that tells us that this module is published. If we unpublish by clicking this button here, even though all of these are ticked, they're not accessible to our students because the module itself that they all reside in is not published. So I've had a lot of calls in that regard in the last couple of weeks. So just make sure that if you have problems with the students accessing items that have green ticks next to them, if their module that they reside in is unpublished, they still won't be able to see it. Okay, so always make sure the module is published, and that will publish all items within the module, and then you can unpublish anything you don't want to have published by using those green ticks. You can also change the order of things, so you can drag and drop items within the course and within the module to where you would like them to show. I'll remove those back down. And that's more or less it for organizing it in the module view. The next thing I was going to show you is how to create an assignment. So an assignment is something where a student or your group of students would create a document and submit it as one document. So assignments are great for a single submission. However, for a bunch of questions, I would recommend a quiz or a bunch of activities that are related to each other. So for example, if you had different sections or different questions, we had a number of them, I would definitely use a quiz. But if you have one document you wanted the students to download, get a copy of, and resubmit, then I would definitely recommend using an assignment because, as I said, a single submission, it works quite well. So for that same module, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an assignment. So when you click the plus button, there's an assignment option that comes up. We're going to go create assignment, and I'm going to call this risk assessment 2. Okay, only because I made one yesterday, sorry. Now you can see that risk assessment has come up there as a item in the module, and it's unpublished. I'll now click on the risk assessment, and I'm going to click edit. Again, we've got our design tools up the top. If you don't see those automatically, you click on the rocket to show them. So click up here to get to see them, and then we can go create edit content, copy existing content, and then we can add from our institution templates one of these ones here. So I'll do a lesson content again, and I'm going to call this risk assessment. Okay, so what I'm going to, in the instructions, I would type to say to the students, please download, please click on this link. So I've got, please complete the following risk assessment by downloading it here. So I'm going to have that text there, link to the actual risk assessment in my Drive. Okay, so I'm going to go to Drive and I'm going to search for risk assessment. And there's my template for the risk assessment. So what we're going to do is, at the moment, we need to make sure our sharing settings are allowing anyone on the internet or anyone within CEDP, however you feel is the best place to go. I've made it anyone on the internet, but you could make it anyone in CEDP, and that should be fine also. And if you have a look at the URL it's got up the top, it says edit. What we're going to do is copy that. We're going to go back to our Canvas course, and I'm going to use this link button here, which allows us to type the link. I'm going to paste it, but then instead of edit at the end, I'm going to write copy. And now when the students click on that link, it's going to take it to their Google Drive, and it's going to ask them, do they want to copy in their Google Drive? And I'll show you how that works in a moment. Now, on any assignment that we've created or that you've created, you have the options to edit these assignment settings. So some people have said to us that I can't get my students to submit, or I want them to submit, but there's no submission button. So that's just a setting in here that you can change yourself. Points, you could make this worth 5 points if you wanted to, as it's a lesson learning activity. It's totally up to you, whereas it's automatically set for the competency tasks. Now, assignment group, I would say that these are where you can view groups of assignments together. So if you have a look there, if we wanted to just view in the mark book our competency task submissions for our students, that would be submitted in competency task 1. I'm going to put this into a learning task because it's not related to a competency task, obviously. We can leave that as points, or we could do complete, incomplete. Maybe I'll make it incomplete or complete so we can have that option for the students. For the submissions, I want the students to submit online, and I want them to do a file upload. Attempts, you can give them unlimited attempts, or you could create limited, and then it will give you the option to give them however many attempts you would like. I'm going to leave it as unlimited. It's not a group assignment. We don't want peer reviews. We won't worry about moderating grading at the moment. And we're going to assign it to everyone. And the due date we can set for next week or the following month. So you could choose a date. And that due date will come up as a date that the students see on their dashboard as something being due. So it's a great tool to set a due date. And if you use the until function, the students will still be able to submit into that assignment until this date. So this until date means how long until the students won't be able to access it anymore. If you just have a due date, once the due date's gone, the students can't submit. So I generally allow the students to keep submitting after it. So I would put the end of the year or end of the term or whatever you feel. But if they submit late, it comes up on the markbook that they did submit it, but it was late. So you get that data as well. Okay, so I'll hit save and I'll just save it at the moment. I won't publish it. Now, when the students actually view it, what would happen is obviously we'd have better instructions. We'd have some more detail on this page. But for these purposes, when the students click on it, it asks now, copy of the document. Would you like to make a copy of this task? We do want to do that. So we would click make a copy. Now the students have a copy of their own that they could work on for their risk assessment. So they can fill out all of these details. They choose fill out all the parts that they need to do. Then they can download it. Jump back over here. If we go to student view, this is how the students would view the task. Oh, it's because I haven't published it. You can't see that yet. I will jump back out of that. It's a great thing to actually segue into is that if an item is there and you want to see if the students can access, go and have a look at your student view. So now if I publish it, now it's published, I can go into student view and I will be able to see it. Okay, so students can see that. And what we can do now is we can go start assignment. You can see here it asks the students, do they want to upload a file? We can click that, choose file, downloads, and we could choose that last download that we have, which was copy of I'll just choose this one. And that's how they submit their work. Okay, I'll leave student view. And that's how you can create an assignment for your students to complete. So if you had a workbook or something like that, and you wanted the students to work through the workbook, I would put it in Google Drive first, set the settings so that anyone in the CEDP can access it. Then you would create the page in in Canvas, and then follow those instructions from where I left off. All right, so that's the next part of this. I would recommend now having a go at using Canvas to create a assignment. So choose something that you've already got, maybe a bunch of questions, maybe even a HSC past paper that the students could, type directly on so that you get that data on how they're traveling. If you've got a HSC course, if time permits, you could always make a couple of them. But just to wrap up what I've been through today, so the use of design tools, how to create a submission, such as an assignment, how to mark assignments and how to mark student submissions, and how to email and communicate with your students through Canvas. Next week we will be showing you how to create a quiz in Canvas, which obviously is a little bit trickier, but same sort of processes, just there's a couple of other little functions and features that we can use. And so, yeah, we'll go through that next week. Thanks a lot.